Hello everyone, this is Drea here with another video, and this time I am bringing you guys my full review of the OnePlus 5T. Now, I did an unboxing video of this phone about 3 weeks ago, so definitely head on over to my channel and check out that video if you haven't done so already, where you will also hear my thoughts and first impressions of the device. And ever since then, I have been using this phone every single day as my daily driver. And now I want to give you my overall impression of it, tell you what I really like about the phone, what I don't really like about the phone, and then of course I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on it in the comments as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start the review. So the first thing I want to talk about is the design of the phone. Now I have here the beautiful sandstone white version of the 5T that came out earlier this year. And overall, OnePlus has stuck with a very simple design, not really as flashy as other phones that have come out last year. Comparing it to like the Galaxy S8 or the HTC U11, this phone in comparison is just very simple. I do like that they came out with the white model. I love it a lot more than I was the black model that came out for the 5 and the 5T. And in my unboxing video, you'll hear me say that I thought overall it was one of the more boring designs that came out last year. But now that they have color options, this white one just looks amazing. And they've recently come out with a lava red as well. So it's great to see OnePlus adding more color options for consumers. It's also got an all-metal build, which I really like. It feels great and sturdy in the hand, and just a bigger benefit over the glass-back phones that are popular now. You know, with the glass phones, you hold it and you're terrified of dropping it because glass breaks as soon as you drop it. So I'm really happy they stuck with the all-metal design here, just because it feels like it can handle more wear and tear, I guess you can say. Especially, I mean, there's no wireless charging, of course. Without the glass back, it kind of negates the wireless charging. But at least if they knew they were going to forego the wireless charging to keep costs down, I'm glad they went with the all-metal design. Okay, so over here on the right side, we have our power button and our SIM tray. Over on the left side, that's where we've got our volume rocker and the alert slider here in a nice red color, and I'll be talking a little bit more about the alert slider later on. And then over in the back, we've got our dual camera setup with a 16 megapixel camera combined with a 20 megapixel camera, our flash, and the fingerprint scanner here. And the fingerprint scanner is, it's really fast. I've had a couple issues with it where it doesn't read my fingerprint. I've had more errors with this fingerprint scanner than I have with other phones I've used in the past. I don't know if that's a fault with the phone, or perhaps during the scanner setup process, maybe I didn't scan my finger quite right. I don't know. I just know that in my daily use, I have had a lot more errors with this fingerprint scanner than I have with other phones. But when it does work, it's really fast. And, you know, I just wish that it was fluid all the time. But that, again, that's my experience with it. May not necessarily be your experience with it. They've also got a face unlock feature on the phone too, which when it first came out, I was skeptical over the face unlock because typically it's just not as secure as the Touch ID. But I've been using it. I figured, hey, I'm going to be using the phone. Let me try out the face unlock. And I gotta tell you, it is really, really fast. I mean, all I gotta do is look at the phone and it just opens up. You do have to press the power button first, and then the phone unlocks. I've got this camera in my way right now, so it's not really working. Let me see if I can demonstrate that for you. And there you go. Just super fast. Doing it again. There you go. You just look at it and it just opens. So it is super fast. As for how secure it is, I really couldn't say. I did try to trick it a few times by holding a picture of myself in front of it, and it didn't work. And it also works regardless, you know, sometimes I wear glasses, sometimes I wear contacts, and it recognized my face right away all the time. So I am pretty impressed with the Face ID, especially considering it was something I was initially very skeptical of. And at times, like I said, I've had some glitches with the fingerprint scanner. So I find myself a lot of times when I get tired of trying to put my fingerprint multiple times, I'll just go ahead and use the face unlock, which is reliable 9 out of 10 times. Okay, so going on to the display, the 5T, the biggest difference between the OnePlus 5 and the 5T is the 5T has moved over to this larger, slimmer bezels, 6-inch display, 18:9 aspect ratio. And the display is 1080p versus QHD. And I gotta say, I don't really miss the QHD that much. To me, the 1080p display gives me exactly what I need. You know, it's a nice, crisp, clear display. It is OLED, so the colors are very vibrant and punchy. And unless I have another phone next to me, side by side with QHD, that's the only time I really notice the difference. Other than that, it's a very fine display, and I don't think anybody using this phone is really going to be missing anything when they're using it. The colors are just perfect. It's crystal clear. So I would not count that as a negative at all. And again, if it keeps the cost down, then I'm all for it. I do really enjoy the 6-inch display on this phone and the 18:9 aspect ratio, with it being a little bit skinnier than phones with the 16:9 ratio. It feels a little bit better in the hand, and then having mostly display up on the front is really nice, especially when you're watching videos. Most videos, when you go on YouTube, you will get those like pillar boxes on each end, but you can just zoom it in and fill the whole screen. So I haven't really had a major issue with that at all. And this seems to be where phones are going nowadays. Most of the flagships that came out last year had the 18:9 aspect ratio, and I don't see any reason to assume that they're not going to continue that trend this year. So I really like that OnePlus went ahead and included that in the 5T. I know a couple of OnePlus 5 owners were a little disappointed that their phones had the regular 16:9 aspect ratio, and then just a few months later they came out with this one. But yeah, it's really nice, and it's been an overall good experience for me. Like I said, it's only when I'm holding another phone side by side with a QHD display that I can kind of see the difference in clarity. But other than that, you're really not missing out anything with this device here. Alright, so going on to the software, this phone is operating on Oxygen OS, and it's very similar to stock Android, but it does have more customizations that I really enjoy. So some of the customizations include like the themes, like you can come over here, go over to the display, and you can change the theme. I have mine on the dark theme, but you can go to the light theme and have everything changed to an all-white background, just like that. Personally, I prefer the dark theme that way. So you can also change the accent color here, which I actually really like. It's such a minor thing, and it's not going to be the reason anybody buys this device or doesn't buy this device, but I do really like getting the ability to change the accent colors. So by accent colors, I mean when you come to the settings here, all these colors right here, I have it set on green because green happens to be my favorite color. So you can come down here and you can change it to any color that they have available. So it's really great. It's one of the great things about Android in general, is the ability to customize your phone to your own personal liking, so that no two phones are exactly the same. So again, like I said, it's a minor thing. It's not a reason to buy or not buy the phone, but it's also really nice to have and be able to say, okay, let me set this up to my favorite color. In terms of more customization, you can add gestures to the phone. over here, like you can do the 3-finger swipe for notifications, or sorry, not the 3-finger swipe, the swipe down on the fingerprint scanner for notifications. So you do the swipe down and your notification tray comes up. Okay, again, swipe down, your notification tray. You can swipe down again to expand it even more. That's actually a huge feature for me. I really love that, especially with these displays getting taller. It's really hard to reach up. I've got little thumbs here, as you can see. It's really hard to reach up and bring down that notification tray all the time. So just having that ability to swipe down on the fingerprint scanner is one of my favorite things. Okay, you can also have the 3-finger swipe for taking a screenshot. So really simple. Really much easier than having to press the volume button down and the power button at the same time. I really like that, and it works flawlessly. Just 3 fingers down, boom, screenshot. It's never had a hiccup for me. It's always worked perfectly. So again, another feature, I really like that. And you can set up whatever gestures you want. Double tap to wake. You can set up your music controls to pause music or play music. And then this is an interesting one. This is not one that I use too much. You can actually draw from your lock screen, or when the phone is off, I should say, draw a pattern to launch any app that you want. So for example, I just set this up really quickly. I can draw a V and I have it set up to launch the calculator. So it'll work like that. So you can, from the off position, you can go ahead and do a V, and it just, oh, I need my face. There you go. And then there is the calculator. So it works really great with those gestures. I don't use all of those gestures very often. The draw gestures, I definitely don't use those. But again, customization is a big thing with Android. And for people maybe need to get to an app really quickly, just swipe a little bit from the lock screen and boom, you're there. So again, really nice. Overall, the performance has been really well. This version, the white version, does have 8 GB of RAM and 128 GB of storage. So the phone is really fast, really snappy. It feels like stock Android. It works just as fluid as stock Android. So this is a huge plus of this device, and I've really enjoyed using it. Haven't experienced any lag at all here with the performance at all. It goes through all my apps, everything that I need, full day of use. I can play games, I can watch videos, and it just doesn't slow down at all. So I'm very pleased with the performance. Now, one of the things I did want to mention is this alert slider that's on the side here. Something I've been using, well, I haven't used it on any other phone, so this was new to me with this device. I didn't know whether I would like it or whether I would dislike it, and I have to say, honestly speaking, I'm not a huge fan of it. I would rather just control the volume from the volume button rather than have the alert slider. And I'll tell you my main reason for not liking it. It's because at night when I'm ready for bed, I don't like being disturbed with, emails or Facebook or notifications that pop up at all different hours in the night. So I always set up a do not disturb on all my phones. And I set it up to a particular time, so when I know I usually go to bed, and then when I wake up in the morning, it'll automatically turn off. With this phone, there's no way to set up that do not disturb to be scheduled automatically. So every night I have to make sure I put it in the do not disturb position. And then in the mornings, I have to make sure to go ahead and turn it off. Now it's just, I don't like having to keep track of it all the time. Again, this is another minor issue. None of the issues I have with this phone are really deal breakers. I'm just going to put that out the way. It's a great device, and all the issues that I mentioned are going to be pretty minor. This is another minor issue, but it is something that annoys me. Some nights I would go to bed and I would forget to turn off the do not disturb until I am then disturbed by an email or something that comes up. And then in the morning, if it's on, a lot of times I find myself forgetting to turn it off. So I've had my do not disturb on all morning and I'm missing, therefore, important notifications. So I like phones where I can just set up my time frame for my do not disturb, and that way I don't have to think about it ever again. It goes, do not disturb comes on at a certain time and it returns off, and my ringer comes back on at a certain time in the morning. Don't even have to think about it, so I like that. And so that's the main reason why I'm not a fan of this alert slider. If OnePlus would just include an ability to schedule do not disturb, then it'll be a non-issue for me. So again, a minor thing, but something worth mentioning. Okay, so now I want to go ahead and talk about the camera, which camera is always one of the biggest features of a phone. Everybody wants a phone with at least a good camera, if not a great camera. So this one, my experience here has been overall good. It's certainly not the best camera on a smartphone right now, and you wouldn't expect that for the price. I mean, this phone, the regular 5T goes for about $499. This one, the white model, it comes with the 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. So it is $560, which again, way undercuts the price of most flagships going on right now. I mean, we're in an era where flagship phones are now in the $950 to $1,000 price range. So very expensive, and this phone is almost half that price. So you can't expect to have the best of the best here. Now this camera is definitely a good camera. I wouldn't call it a great camera, but it's a good camera. More than enough for the average consumer. You know, those people who just want to take some selfies with their friends, take a picture of their food and upload it to Instagram, take some pictures while you're on vacation. This phone more than gets the job done. Again, it's not the absolute best camera phone you'll get, so the only people I wouldn't recommend to buy this phone are people who are hardcore into photography. But other than that, I've had a pretty good experience of this phone. And low light images have been good. Again, not great, but they've been good. You can definitely see the subject matter you're trying to shoot. It's not coming out too grainy with too much noise in the background. So again, as in all things, you got to keep the price in mind, and I have been pleasantly satisfied with the camera on this phone. And here are just some videos for you guys to see. Okay, so that was just a few samples of the picture quality on this phone. Now, a couple things to mention is it does have a portrait mode for the rear camera that is pretty decent. I haven't really tested other phones with portrait mode, so I can't really compare it to, say, the Pixel 2 XL or the iPhone 10. But for me, the portrait mode is decent. The bokeh effect in the back comes out pretty good. I don't really use portrait mode as much as I just use the standard point and shoot. But yeah, it works decently enough. I also really like, again, going back to the gestures, one of the gestures you can do is you can hold down the fingerprint scanner to take a picture. So again, you just aim your photo and then you put your finger in the back and then boom, it snaps a shot. So there's a lovely photo of my tablecloth right there. But yeah, that's another good feature that they've added to the camera. Quality on the selfie camera, again, is pretty good. So overall, I am pleased with this camera phone. Again, it's not the best camera on the phone out on the market right now, but it certainly gets the job done for your average consumer, for sure. So, great there. All right, and next I'm going to talk about the audio quality on the phone. Now, audio, this one's got just a single bottom firing speaker. I'm not a huge fan of its location on this side. I would have preferred it. If it was moved over on this side, just because when I'm in landscape mode here and I am holding the phone, it just naturally covers that spot. And I find myself always having to readjust my hand when I'm watching videos. So not my favorite location for the speaker. That being said, I was surprised by the audio quality on it. I wasn't expecting too much since it is just a single bottom firing speaker instead of going with the dual speaker setup. The sound gets pretty loud, actually louder than I would have anticipated. It's not the richest sound available, but certainly not the worst in terms of audio either. So again, very passable. With all things, you have to keep the price in mind. And when I'm listening to music, watching videos, I'm never lacking for anything. The sound quality is perfectly fine. It might be a little bit tinny at times, again, because they're not using that dual speaker setup. But again, it gets nice and loud and pretty crisp for you to hear. So that's pretty good. The headphone jack. The elusive headphone jack. I really like that this is here. So if you've got your speakers that you've been using for, not speakers, headphones that you've been using for ages, you can keep using it with this device. You don't have to use a adapter of any kind. So it's really nice that OnePlus has gone ahead and kept the headphone jack. How long they'll keep the headphone jack remains to be seen, I guess. It's my prediction that more and more phones will just keep doing without it. But for now, it's nice that they've gone ahead and included that on the phone. And yeah, it's a pretty good phone overall. The very last thing to talk about is the battery. And this is probably the area where I am most impressed with this phone, to be completely honest. It's got a 3300 milliamp hour battery, and this lasts me all day without a problem. Now, of course, as with all phones, it depends on how much you use it, what type of user you are. Everybody's different, but me, I like to go on YouTube, watch a few videos, I might play a couple games, and it gets me through a full day without a struggle at all. So I never even have to think about walking with my charger in hand in case I need to top off on battery. Usually I can get, or pretty consistently I should say, I can get between 5.5 hours to 6 hours of screen on time. So I'm really happy by those results. And like I said, it's just been amazing. No wireless charging, but there is the dash charge cable here. And this is something that I really wanted to test when I did my unboxing, because again, this is my first OnePlus device. I don't have any previous experience with dash charging and how it compares to standard quick charge. And it is really fast. Now, I haven't sat with a timer. They claim you can get about 60% battery in 30 minutes. I've never sat with it with a timer, so I can't confirm or deny that claim. What I can say, though, is that I have, when it's pretty low, 20%, I have plugged it in for a quick charge. And by the time I'm ready to leave, maybe in about 20 minutes, I don't know, like I said, I've never timed myself, but I can usually get through a full day after just topping it off for a little bit. So the dash charging works amazing. The battery combined with the dash charging is my favorite part of this phone. And yeah, I never had to worry about it. Never have to worry about, going out all day and needing to walk with my charging cable or anything like that. So I'm very pleasantly pleased with how the battery has performed here. Okay, so overall, I really like the phone. This phone reminds me, it reminds me of my Nexus 6P, to be completely honest. When Google got rid of the Nexus brand and moved over the Pixel brand, they've gone into a more premium phone. At least their prices are more premium, a lot higher. So I really, really miss the Nexus phones. This phone reminds me of my Nexus 6P. So if you're one of those people that really miss the Nexus phones, then 100% you're going to love the 5T. And I think it really fills that void left in the phone market for a near premium phone for not the premium price. Yeah, so is the OnePlus 5T my favorite phone that I have ever owned? No, it's not my favorite phone ever, But that being said, it's still an amazing device. I would highly recommend it to users, especially if you're not looking to spend $1,000 on a phone. I don't think there's any reason to spend $1,000 on a phone. I am not a fan of that trend in any way, and I hope to never spend that kind of money on a phone, to be completely honest. But this phone proves that you don't need to spend that kind of money to get a good phone. It's got all the features that you could possibly need. It's missing the flashier elements like wireless charging. Water resistance is probably the only feature I actually really would like on this device. Not so much because I like to swim with my phone or anything, but just added protection if it ever falls in a puddle or anything like that. I like having it on there. But other than that, the phone, it's not missing anything that is essential or that you really would think that you need to spend $1,000 on. By any means. So absolutely 100% I would recommend it. So that pretty much completes my review of the 5T. I do want to hear your thoughts as well. Do you own it? Do you love it? Do you not like it? Let me know your thoughts overall, and if you haven't bought one, are you considering it? I really think you should consider it in that case. So let me know in the comments, okay? And as always, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button so you can always be up to date with my little videos. All right, everyone. Take care.